Ah, yes, it is now streaming live on YouTube.
Mine still says, oh, done redirecting to YouTube. And we, I gotta mute it on this side. Okay. Fan freaking tastic. It's a word I made up years ago, which is appropriate and perfect for today. It is absolutely magical. And I am so happy and excited to be able to share with you my beautiful friend and gem, Daniel Flowerdew. Yes, my friends and gems. When I say that, oh my gosh, I'm getting already that gut feeling. It's going in the back of my head. Yes, this is going to be a magical time. Whatever time we spend here, buckle up because it's about to get very magical and interesting. Daniel is so unique. I know no one on the planet or the universe that is anything like him. I told him right before we went on air, I'm like, don't say anything else. We just need to go ahead and broadcast. I can see the jewels already flowing out of your mouth. So my friends and gems, this is Daniel Flowerdew, and he is a majestic and magical being. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here today, Daniel.
Thank you, Lillian. I didn't expect this. I signed up for a little conference call with you, and I was like, oh, it's just always fun talking with Lillian. And then next I know, she's like, yeah, we're gonna get you on YouTube. Oh, okay.
So I'm
Oh,
going
I
to,
love it. So thank you, thank you.
you're quite welcome. I want our viewers that are watching this live on YouTube to pay attention because the clues are everywhere. So if you look at Daniel on screen right now, you're going to see that he has like a triangle shaped mountain that is behind him, which has to do with, if you guys know anything about the secrets of the universe, the 3, the 6, the 9, triangles, of course, have the 3, the 6, and the 9 are encoded in them, which the mountain acme, of course, is like right at the apex of his head. And then he has, should I tell him or should you tell him about your t-shirt and what it says?
Oh, the cryogenetics egg. Oh, and
Genetic.
we're both wearing our pendants. Yeah, yeah.
The clues are everywhere. And this is something that, you know, the masses are not going to be embracing this, but those of you, there's a reason why you are finding this video when you're finding it, because you are in that resonant frequency, in that high vibrational space and vibrational tonality of not just love, but it's joy and bliss and above, which brings you to this point in time where you can come into this space and time, because there's no such thing as space and time. There's just the now. That's why you have found this. You've been, make no mistakes, you've been divinely selected. We have so many juicy things to talk about. I know I'm going to have you back a whole bunch of other times. This is just beginning. Okay,
Oh,
Daniel,
I would love that. That would be fun.
tell them what you do and where you do it.
Okay, what do I do? Okay. That's there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. But bottom line is, before you started the recording, we were talking about the keyword magic, right? Um, and that is a big part of what I do. And it's not about uh, you know, imposing the will on other people or on life or on any situation. It's about getting into that state where the real magic can happen, where uh, where you start to work in harmony with what's going on.
Mhm.
Um, so a lot of what I do, it gets pretty weird because I work with a lot of people who have been through mind fracturing, where they've literally gone through so many intense traumas that were intentionally done to split off parts of their soul. Um, so a lot of what I do is helping people through that, helping people get rid of different curses that are on them, genetic curses, things in their bloodline. Um, and everyone's got them, everyone's got them, even if you're driving down the freeway, all the road rage. I mean, that's negative energy that can still stick on the body and stick in your field. And that's a very easy example that people can see. Um, and our bodies respond to all of that. Our bodies pick that up, and they use the information, either if it's good or bad. So knowing about it is most of the battle. Knowing that that's what it is and being able to clear it off. I also help people with getting rid of psychic implants. um, I don't know how weird you want to get today, Lillian. I'm just going for it.
So let's, I love that you asked. I don't know how weird you want to get. I'm like, you know what? This is not a PC show. It's not censored. It's not it's like whatever the divine wants to have come through you, I want it to come through. And I also want to bring our viewers' attention to the fact that the word weird, what it really means.
Mhm.
Because when I was raising my children, well, let's just say that when I hit about 30 years of age, I realized, oh my gosh, I thought it was just that I was weird or my family was weird. I'm like, I'm realizing at the age of 30 that everybody's family is a different shade of weird. We are all weird in our own unique way. There's no such thing as normal. There really isn't any such thing as normal, because once you really get to know people, you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. But that weirdness is what makes us unique and interesting.
Exactly.
And then because I'm into the power of not just the spoken word, the written word, we really, we cast spells. There's big rabbit holes here that,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It's a part of the English language. It really is. I mean, you're spelling, when you're in school, they teach you how to spell words, how to
Mhm.
spell sentences. So yeah, exactly. Sorry,
You're
go ahead.
you're sentencing someone. So one of the
Yeah.
things, and I've been a wordsmith for like my whole life, and that's kind of unique to being a writer and all that kind of stuff. So when you look at the root word weird, okay, so the word weird, it has a Welsh origin, and the word in Welsh is weirda. And back during the Renaissance times, when somebody was called a weirda, that was usually for people that were odd, people that were condemned by mainstream as being witches or warlocks, and they wanted to burn them at the stake, and they're weird. And so then it was like this whole big witch hunt. So the word weird really just means not that you're odd, but that you're spirited. Because people that have the most spirit, that are the most spirit led, they're not logicalizing or rationalizing anything. They're moving in the spirit, which by definition is weird because it's not ordinary. So with that now on your awareness, I want to say that I embrace the weird, because I'm weird, you're weird, everybody's a different shade of weird. Even those who say that they're not, they just don't know any better. We all are different shades of weird, and that's what makes us so exciting and so unique. So with that being
Exactly.
said, continue on, my friend.
Well, and there's so many ways that I can take this too. I didn't know about the Welsh meaning. I was raised with the Norse and Germanic meaning Vyrd, Wyrd, which is a lot of historians debate about it. It's considered to be the unknown rune in Elder Futhark, which is their old writing structure, Anglo-Saxon. So the word Vyrd in Norse and Germanic means limitless potential. It means, it's basically the what a lot of people would say is like the black hole that all life came from. Anything that's formed or unformed starts in this space of unknowingness, in this space of uncertainty and unformed, right? So yeah, exactly. Weird is such a fun word.
It
Um,
is. So I never heard
uh-huh,
about the Nordic Germanic roots of this
uh-huh,
fear that you were saying. So
uh-huh.
I love that. But I want people to notice, it's like, notice how it's not a negative connotation. Limitless
Exactly.
potential,
Yeah.
that's a really good thing. That's like having a lump of clay, and you can turn it into a car, you can turn it into a person, you can turn it into any kind of form or shape that you want.
Mhm,
There's no limit. You don't have any boundaries.
mhm.
It's a positive connotation. It's not a negative.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, oh, keep
Well,
talking.
and in a lot of ways, it's neutral. In a lot of ways, it depends on the person and how they want to use it. They
Mm.
can either make it positive or negative themselves. So that's another part of it too, is that potential is, it's really neutral. It depends on the person and what they decide to do with it. So um, before we get too far down that hole, though, because we could talk about like the dark matter in between each cell, and how that's also limitless potential. A few days ago, I was, a little bit of a fun story here. A few days ago, I was at the gas station with my grandma. We were getting ready to go to the dump because That's what we do in North Idaho, okay? We have family dump runs where we all get in the truck and we all go get coffees and stuff. But we were sitting here at the gas station and all of a sudden I hear a voice in my head saying, "You're really unique. I've never seen anyone like you before." And I look over and this tree that's right next to me. And within 10 seconds, me and this tree have this in-depth conversation, because trees and plants and animals, they don't talk with English. They talk with impressions.
Vibration.
And that our telomeres in our cells can then basically decipher all of that and help us to communicate, right? But I was looking at this tree and all of a sudden I had this remembrance where it was like, oh, that tree is extremely unique too. Even if there was a tree growing right next to it that was the same genus, the same species, planted at the same time, it wouldn't matter because how it grew is unique to that specific tree. So, just kind of putting it back into that perspective too, we're all so unique. And it's really a beautiful thing. It really is. If you went out into the woods and every tree looked the same, I don't know. That seems just kind of like AI, like, just flat line, no diversity. Um, Now, that tree wasn't perfect. It had aphids, it had leaves that were degraded. It wasn't at its absolute optimal prime, but it was unique. And because of that, it had its own unique wisdom and experience to share. So, a lot of different ways to take this and go around it. Yeah, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting the tree next to me to just start talking with me. Um, but, when you start really tapping into um, your own innate abilities, what your body is capable of doing, you start having experiences like that. It might not be the tree. It might be, a bird flying by or your household pet. It might be a plant in your living room. Like I can tell that plant behind you, Lillian, is very loved. You probably talk with it all the time. It feels very
You
loved.
outed me.
So.
Did I tell it I love you?
I can tell. I can see it. Yeah, yeah. Um, so, magic is all around us. Now, my friend Laura Lee, she has an amazing definition of magic. Sadly, I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's to anyone watching this video, if you want to go down that rabbit hole and learn more about, her definition in particular, I strongly suggest looking up her information. She's where you get the cryogenetics from. I also have these Almoricite rock stones of truth and justice that I'm carrying. And, yeah, the Almoricite pendant. So many different things that we could talk about and share about.
So let's take it,
Yeah.
because I think the bedrock, no pun, actually, we're so used to saying no pun intended, but actually pun intended. Rock of this discussion really has to do with vibration and frequency, because
Yes.
Nikola Tesla said that the secrets of the universe are in the 3, the 6, and the 9. And if you only knew that vibration and frequency is how we unlock everything. And I think that that is something that is more bright and louder and more colorful in my experience. And as I embrace and I accept more of that, then I am attuned to more and more and more. So let's talk about that, because that's really at the cornerstone of you, me, everything that we do. We are using, you talked about the Almoricite, about, and we'll have you explain what Almoricite is and aurora light, and also talk about how, I want to preface that by saying that I don't care what country you're watching this from. Every single one of us, before we understood and heard our mother's language, whatever her native tongue was, every single one of us, our first language was vibration. It was vibration and frequency. Because before you understood what it meant to be happy or to be sad, you felt the vibrational frequency in your mother's womb. If she was happy and she was dancing and singing and lollygagging around the house, and she was relaxed and she was calm and she was eating a delicious, ice cream or a, limoncello, gelato or what have you. She was in a high vibrational frequency and you felt that. And if all of a sudden a gust of wind came in and the door slammed and she was startled, you felt fear and the tension in that moment. No words were spoken, but trust me, it was a language. It's the language of frequency and vibration. So it's the universal language, and it's not just contained to this earth. So I know that you have a lot more to color in. I just gave a red, a green, and a blue, and now you can color it in with all the other colors of the rainbow for our viewers.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was perfect. And yeah, I agree. The very first language you learn, it's not words, it's feeling, it's vibration. Feeling is a lot of how our body decodes vibrations, is by what we feel, not always the emotions. Feelings and emotions can be slightly different, but what our body feels, if your body feels that intense pit in the gut, or feels liberated and light, those are the feelings. So and a lot of times those vibrations too can get embedded into your cellular structure and into your DNA. So okay, so that makes me think about the whole birthing scenario, right? If you think about it, most people on the planet, their very first experience here on the planet is causing someone extreme pain. And they don't even, in a lot of cultures, they have ways of giving birth that are actually pleasurable for the mother, where it doesn't cause pain. So, little side note there, that's not always necessary to have that extreme pain, but that's a lot of our first experiences here on the planet. And that can really stick into your body. It can stick into your electromagnetic field, which is your emotions. It's how you create your life and how you work through life. So yeah, a lot could go on there, but it's kind of interesting to bring that to everyone's attention too, and that doesn't mean that you're stuck with that. There are different modalities you can do, like I do what's called a timeline soul retrieval session. It's also something Laura Lee teaches. It's very closely related to EMDR too, but we actually teach you how to go back to those memories and to alchemize that situation. Not saying that the situation or the trauma didn't happen, but you're now changing it into wisdom, intel, and experience. So it's no longer in the background controlling your life like it can be. It's now something that you've learned from, and you can then use that wisdom moving forward in your life.
So I love that.
So,
Timeline
yeah.
soul retrieval. That's something very
Mhm.
specific. Obviously, it has
Yeah.
it's some sort of regressive. Anytime you do regression, also it's a regressive and progressive, because you're doing both and at the same time. As you regress, recognize what that is. And I love what Daniel said is he's going to show you and partner with you to alchemize and reframe that experience so that you progress forward and move without the baggage. Now that baggage is, instead of it being baggage, it's kind of your foundation and your launch pad. Because one of my mentors, Dr. Jack Kruse, he says that a lot of your greatest in your failures are the seeds of your success. If you can recognize and not get stuck in the failure, that it was a failure, in there lies the seeds of your greatest success. Without that failure, you would have not been the success that you are today. And I got to say, for me, that's true. I never in my wildest dreams thought that, I would become a neurological patient. I thought I was always on the other side of being, the practitioner. And then in 2017, I get hit by a bus and I lose all my short-term memory. I'm literally brain damaged. And guess what? In that was perfection, because it's made me monumentally better. It made me have a greater degree of motivation for sure. One thing is to have motivation because your kid almost dies. And now so you have that perspective. And guess what? Now a second fuel to the fire is like, oh, let's give you a near-death experience. Let's see you almost get your feet crushed. And let's damage your brain and cause you excruciating pain that's not alleviated by anything.
Yeah. And the doctors say you can never get rid of.
And they say,
that
oh,
you'll be stuck with your entire life.
that the
Yeah.
scars, we can
Yeah. Oh,
replace it
that's
with a new
terrible.
scar, and brain damage is brain damage. The brain doesn't regrow back. So no, you won't, you're not that too bad. You lost all your short-term memory. You just have to live with it. And so guess what? I didn't take no for an answer. I'm like, no, wait a minute. Nothing is permanent. Everything is in flux in the universe. And so then, of course, I'm now here where things have gotten monumentally better. It's like literally from day to night, turn the other cheek from things getting infinitely worse to things getting infinitely better. So let's kind of
Yes.
continue on
Yes.
with this, because you have
Mhm.
some juicy things that you do with this timeline soul regression.
Mhm.
And I know that there's a place where you use some of these very special rocks and
Oh
minerals.
yeah.
And
Okay.
then you have these sticky little things that these are the backing of these little things called patches that also have a frequency and vibration to them.
Mhm.
So take us down and, just kind of give us like a video tour
Okay.
of these special rocks and minerals and about this timeline soul regression, etc.
Excellent. I loved what you shared, by the way. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, one thing I tell a lot of my clients is that if something happens that you don't want, you can either cry about it, think that it's insurpassable, or you could say no, thank you, and rock on, right?
That's a choice. And
It's a choice.
you gotta digest a certain amount of it. Yeah, let it
Exactly.
out, because you don't want it rattling in there. But then you don't have to dwell for weeks, months, years. It's like, okay, now that you got that out of the way, now I'm ready to, you can decide. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to learn from this, but I'm deciding today, I don't want to ever repeat. I don't know about you, but I got hit by a bus once. That's enough. I don't ever want to be hit by anything. Bus, car, motorcycle, you name it. I'm like, I want to put that in the past, take what I'm supposed to learn and move on. Even though you don't know in the moment
Exactly.
what you're supposed to learn, you can decide lesson is going to be completed, never to be repeated again. Now show me what it is that I'm supposed to learn from this.
Yes, exactly. And authenticity is key. Like you said, you do have to digest a certain amount of it. You have to experience a certain amount of it.
Feel it.
One thing that I dislike about a lot of movements that I've seen online is that it seems to give the impression of, oh, something terrible happened in your life. Oh, okay, we'll just ignore it and go on to something else. It's like, no, feel it, allow it, accept it for what it is, but don't accept it as the end all be all. Don't accept it as the final step.
Exactly.
Authenticity is key. You have to feel what your body's feeling. Otherwise, it's just going to get stored in there. And as a massage therapist, there is a saying, your issues are in your tissues. Okay. So you want to get that out.
Your
So
issues are in your, that is so accurate. That is so,
it is. It is. The mind, the body, and the spirit all are the same. So, if something happened in your life, it's going to be in your body, it's going to be in your mind, and shifting in any of those three categories is going to shift it for all three of them. So let's get into these rocks a little bit here, right? So these have been huge allies for me. I use them all the time. They're with me everywhere I go with everything I do. Even when I'm putting on some of the patches, I'll hold up one of the rocks to it and ask it to enhance the patch for my well-being and for whatever I need in that day. And like the patches are amazing in of themselves, but I've noticed that if a person does that little extra intention, it amplifies it big time, especially with these rocks. Now, these are stones of truth, justice, and integrity. So, I've collected various rocks and minerals since I was 12. I jokingly tell people that I have about $30,000 worth of different rocks and minerals in my room. And it's probably not an over exaggeration either. I look around and I have just tons of crystals. I've been collecting for a long time. But now that I've gotten these rocks, I almost never feel pulled to use the other stones because these do everything that they all do. The other rocks are still beautiful and magical, but I like to tell people that these Almoricites are like if you were to have Numite, Hematite, Moldavite, and like Alexandrite, all mixed together and then on steroids. That's what these are. They have their own energizing source, their own grounding source.
grounding.
So if you need a good pick me up, they'll help energize you and get you through the day. If you're getting too anxious and like, they'll help bring you back down into neutral and back into centered. Um, so yeah, I use them all the time. They have a voice of their own, they talk. Um, and since they are all about truth and justice, they'll help you get a broader perspective on whatever is you're facing or going through. I have noticed that when I work with my rocks, I get guidance really, really quickly on where I'm supposed to go and what I'm supposed to do. It's normally instant. They can also help clear out negative, unwanted energies. And I do say unwanted because, you know, when you get into like chemistry and science and electromagnetism, you know, you get into the electricity side of it, positive and negative impulse are not a bad thing. Just like the word weird, it's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
You just want to have a little bit of a balance, right? And you can't have day without night. On that note, though, evil and corruption was never supposed to be here. So a lot of people will say, you know, it's a balance is between good and evil. It's really not. It's about good and neutrality. Evil and corruption were never supposed to be here. So that does not fit in this equation. And I just want to say that too for the people who are watching this and this is their first time hearing any of this. Um, it's just important background to have on that. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, accept your bad behaviors, you know, accept your, you know, someone did something terrible to you and now you have to go and see them at a family gathering, right? You don't have to accept it. You can have a healthy boundary, right? But that is not what I mean with negative. When I talk about negative, I'm talking about the negative impulse of energy. So yeah, these rocks can help balance all of that, help you to have more broad perspective on what happened, what's happening, where it's going. Um, and one thing I really love about these rocks is they will not let you put them on a pedestal. Like right now, I'm sharing information about them, so I am kind of, you know, um, I'm excited about them, and they know it, and they're okay with that. But if you try to say, oh, rocks, I need you to do this, this, and this for me, and then you don't put in any of the effort yourself, more often than not, the rocks are just going to be like, oh, okay, well, we'll see if we can help you to have the encouragement you need to do it. You know, they're not going to do all your work for you. They're going to help you out. They're going to step side by side with you. But these are very magical rocks. They're not like any other minerals that I've seen anywhere else.
I've never seen anything like it either. And I have a very,
Yeah.
you're much more experienced with it, but it's like, yeah, they're very, very unique.
Mm-hmm. They are, and they're very magical. They're very
Very
magical,
magical. They're very magical and
uh,
weird.
and very weird and weird. And what was the Welsh word for weird? What was
Weirda.
weirda? Yeah, exactly, exactly. You know, I do kind of want to share my first experience with the rocks if we have enough time. It'll only be a couple of minutes here. But when I was first introduced to these rocks, I was working caregiving. I was working 16 hours, 7 days a week for Idaho minimum wage, which was $7.25 at the time, $7.25 an hour.
Hmm.
So I was working all the time, barely making it ahead in life. I had all my needs met. You know, I had everything taken care of, but I wasn't getting further. And I really wanted to get into massage. That was something that I always wanted to do. Massage therapy has always been one of my passions, one of my drives, right? So I was volunteering for a friend at her event, and who was there but Laura Lee Mystica and her ghost partner, her ghost fighting partner, Ronnie Renee Foster. And my friend was like, oh, hey, just go and help them out with making their booth. You know, help them get their stuff out of the car, get everything set up, you know, have their posters out, help with the display. And as I was talking with Laura Lee, we realized that we've seen each other before. I met her when I was like 13 years old. And, you know, we were talking for a while. She heard that I wanted to do massage, but I couldn't get into the school. I couldn't afford it, you know, all of this stuff. And she was like, here, I want to give you one of these pendants. You know, she gave me a little bottle pendant. And literally within 2 seconds of putting it on, I got extremely tired. And I realized that, I worked a 16-hour shift earlier that day. I was just getting off a night shift and going to help out with this event.
Wow.
And I was doing it by using everyone's energy to keep myself afloat. And I didn't know I was doing that. I was in the middle of this huge mall. There were hundreds of people there. And I was just kind of using that energy to keep myself active and moving. As soon as I put the pendant on, though, it was like, oh, no, no, you need to go home and get to bed. And I could feel it telling me, too, that it was going to give me the energy I needed to get home safely. So I went and found my friend and I was like, hey, I know I told you I was going to help out today, but I just wore this pendant and it's telling me I need to go home and go to bed. I have overworked myself. I need to go to sleep. So she sent me home. I got home, took care of the dog and everything, got things taken care of, and I passed out. I slept until like 10 minutes before my shift that next day.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty perfect. And then it was a night shift that I was getting ready for. So it was about 7 o'clock. The next day, I was getting ready to go back to bed, 7 in the morning again, because there were, long shifts. And I got a call on my phone from the local massage institute saying, oh, you are actually now approved to get into this program. And not only that, but we are now allowing the Idaho state to pay for a certain portion of the bill if you qualify. So I called the Idaho Department of Labor, and they said that I was literally right in the age range for this program for them to pay for the entire thing. I think I literally paid $500 and that's it for my massage license. They
Really?
paid for all of the schooling. And it
Wow.
was like literally the next day after having the pendant. So after that, I was like, I'm never taking you off. You're going with me everywhere I go. And it
Wow.
was perfect. The caregiving job offered me the time to do my homework at night while I was doing night shift, you know, and then I had school during the day, only 3 days a week. Everything worked out perfectly. And then I got my license. I've now been practicing since 2018, and things are getting better and better every day. So that's my first experience with these rocks.
Pretty
And
powerful first experience.
it was life changing, literally life changing. you know um I was trying to get into massage school for about 4 years before I put on this pendant, and then the next day I got a call saying, hey, yeah, you're accepted into the program and it's paid for. So magical, magical and weird, happens all the time, especially with these rocks. Now these rocks are the physical aspect of the cryogenetics egg, which it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but there's a little star on top, and then you have the egg shape. Um, and if people want to go onto my YouTube channel, I have chats with Laura Lee on there where I explain how to use the rocks and eggs, and I have a couple of guided journeys on there, and more to come. It's just a slow process, um, but yeah, these rocks are amazing, and I use them all the time, and they help out in so many different ways. So not only do they do all of this, but they can also help block EMF. So electromagnetic frequencies in fog, right? So um, they do a little bit of everything. I have yet to find anything that these rocks can't and won't do, um, as long as it's, in authenticity and integrity. They won't do anything when it's not in integrity. They will literally shut down. So
There was a
I
scientist, excuse me, there was
yeah.
also a scientist who actually tested because he was like, these are just rocks. And as he was testing them, he was kind of befuddled. He's like, wait a minute, uh, these, nothing on the planet is grounded. How is it possible that these rocks have its own grounding source? He's like, wait a minute, this is not really from this, that's not possible. And he tested and retested and retested, and he's like, oh my gosh, these rocks actually have their own grounding source, and they ground with, whoever touches them. This is not from this planet. And he
Mhm.
also confirmed that there were 82 minerals, like the ocean has 92 minerals. These have 82. I go,
Yeah.
clue is in the numbers. 82, 8 plus 2 is 10. It's complete.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hello. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of it was really cool to be able to read some of the scientific research that was done, and it's like, wow. And then of course, then you hold the rocks and you're like, whoa, you can feel the energy in them. And it's like, that's a very exciting prospect.
Yeah, yeah. And I know a lot of people that they don't feel energy on the regular occasion, right? And then they'll hold on to these rocks and be like, oh, my entire body is buzzing right now. Or I feel like my eyes just shifted and now I'm more focused, you know? Yeah, yeah. And I think Laurelie's website shares the findings of that study
It
that you're
does.
talking about.
Yeah.
I think it does. I don't remember where, but I think it's on the First Wave Indigo website.
Mhm.
Um,
Under the frequently asked questions, there's the scientific evidence there. Mhm.
oh, okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Yeah, yeah. So I always tell people, if you can, get a hold of some of these rocks. And when you do buy them, either if you buy a pendant or if you buy some hand stones to hold on to, you also get a house grid set and a town grid set. The house grid set, it is what it sounds like. You grid your living space with this. It'll come with five stones. I'm trying to hold on to the rock at the same time. So it comes with 5 stones. So you basically imagine your home is like a square, right? And you put the rocks on each corner. And then the centerpiece is the one that you give it all your directives. The more jobs that you give this grid set, the happier it is. Bring in more love, bring in more integrity, help me in my healing process, bring in more money, you know, um, whatever the case may be. Help my plants to survive. I do not have a green thumb. Help them to live, you know, whatever your situation may be. And then you just place it up in the center and it creates this pyramid. And it's funny too when you brought that up at the beginning of the show. I didn't even intend for this to be like the triangle. I just thought it was a nice picture, and I was like, yeah, let's go with it. But yeah, it creates a pyramid. When you grid
Energy.
your stone like that, it creates an energetic pyramid
Mhm.
that helps to clear out the energy field, bring in more of what you need, and it's really energizing. Um, it can help get rid of ghosts and other spooks. We'll just call them spooks.
Unwanted
Um,
energy.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And it can help to transmute them, help to shift them. Um, I've seen people that they would grid their house, and let's say they're living with someone who's very abusive or narcissistic, or they just don't have their head on right? They live with a Gemini, right? No, just kidding. Just
Oh,
kidding. Just kidding. Um, but when they grid their house, things start to change. Either the toxicity melts away and people get to work together, or the person that because some people just don't want to change. So let's say that narcissist doesn't see anything wrong with their action, as most narcissists do, right? Eventually the rocks will help quiet them down and make them a little more docile or passive, right? It makes it easier to work with them, easier to laugh with them. And laughter is key. If you can authentically laugh in any situation, you're going to help to shift it, right? So, these little rocks are magical and it never hurts to get them. So,
so let me ask
yeah.
you. So,
Uh-huh.
you can grid cities, you can grid
Yes.
schools, you can, buildings and so forth. So, what is your take about gridding? Like I gridded the inside of my home. So literally right
Perfect.
above here is my center. I actually have
Uh-huh.
here, and then I've got the 4 corners all squared away. But for example, let's
Okay.
say if you're gridding a house, would it be equally as beneficial to grid the outside of a home?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Even if
Have to
it's
do
not
it
your property, even if it's like you could even grid your
full.
city block,
I did.
like if you're an apartment. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it doesn't matter inside or outside, it still has the same beneficial effect. So that's
exactly.
something, for people watching this, it's like, I believe that, we have a universe of abundance. So when I got my grid rocks, I got my the ones that I knew that was for my personal use. And I do have one that's kind of a heart shape and another one that's like a triangle shape.
Uh-huh.
And then I have the ones that I'm putting in different parts of my surroundings where I live for the better,
Excellent.
for the benefit of my community. My children happen to
Exactly.
live here, and so forth. So I'm like, I want just the best for my town and for my city. And so,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to travel with some and different places as I feel spirit led. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
I will red rock those areas too, because it's just something that brings more positive, more authenticity, more positive energy, and more
Yeah.
just goodness. It's about truth and justice and integrity. So
Yeah. And who can't use that, right? Who
everyone,
doesn't need that,
all
right?
for everyone, yeah.
So yeah,
I
yeah.
even gridded my car. So my car, I was like, "Oh, figure
Yes.
out where do I put it so that when I get it washed, it's
Uh-huh.
detailed, whatnot, it's not disturbed." So I had to be very strategic, in the four
Mhm.
corners. I went to my trunk, like on the bottom left, the bottom right, and then inside the car, trying to find those four spots. And then I'm like, okay, where do I put it in the sunroof? So,
Uh-huh.
so it doesn't get, also swiped when, or
Yeah,
clean.
when you open and close it or clean it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, if a person starts off by getting only one grid set, I do recommend to start off with your personal space, you
Mhm.
know. So if you're living with a bunch of other people, if you have your own room, grid your room. If you don't have your own room, but you have your own car, grid your car first. You could even just grid your bed if you want to, or your living room, but start off with your personal space wherever you are at the most, especially your room, where you sleep at night. That's very important. And then as you get more grid sets, then yeah, grid the property, grid the neighborhood, grid the city.
The whole city.
Yeah, the whole city. I've gridded federal courthouses, hospitals, casinos, libraries, schools, churches. You know, who doesn't need more truth, justice, and integrity?
I've
It
gridded
benefits
school.
all good
I've
people.
gridded schools as well. I went
Uh-huh.
ahead at schools, cell
Uh-huh.
towers. Schools.
Yes.
So I'm like, let's make sure. And I did it before the eclipse on
Uh-huh.
purpose.
Yes,
I'm like,
exactly. Uh-huh.
let's make sure. And of course, then everything was pretty nice and pretty peaceful and pretty beautiful. We didn't have any, you know, unwanted things uh,
Yeah,
took place. So it's a beautiful thing. So
excellent. I love that. I love that.
I,
Uh-huh.
I love the fact that these natural organic minerals, source unknown, we just know that obviously our creator created it and has put that in our experience so that we can be the benefactors of it. So it has a certain vibrational frequency, which we were talking about, how everything is vibrational
Yes.
frequency.
Mhm.
And then of course you also use the tool in your, you have this wonderful practice where you're doing massage therapy.
Mhm.
And many people don't know, but your eyes are the only portion of the brain that is not, it's a portion of your brain that's outside of your skull, but it's still a part of your brain.
Mhm.
So your eyes and your hands take up 40% of the real estate of your brain. And there's a
I
lot of,
did not know that.
yeah, it takes
Oh.
40% of the real estate in your brain. Your brain is highly electromagnetic. When we scan people, the brain has a tremendous amount of electricity, as do the hands. And of course, the
Mhm.
heart has quite a bit
Mhm.
of electricity too. So
Uh-huh.
when it's no surprise or no mystery, I should say, that people are so effective, whether they actually have the healing touch on
Mhm.
someone, or they're even just directing with intention without touching them.
Mhm.
They're holding up their hands and directing energy with intention towards someone. Oh, I can feel already, my hands are like already shooting towards you.
Yep.
It's pulsing.
I can see it too. I can see it in the camera as you're, yeah, yeah.
So, so it's funny because some people are very receptive. So
Uh-huh.
I don't feel it like a stone wall back. I feel like that receptive, like
Mhm.
sticky, like elastic. And
Mhm.
then, so anyhow, that being said, it's all about frequency and vibration. So
Mhm.
we wear these patches and we use them with our patients and with
Yes.
clients to, again, magnify the effects on the body. We are turning on with frequency a third of previously dormant master cells that were in the body at conception, which begin this rapid restoration. And so as you move forward, one of the beautiful things is that you get to have a beautiful bonus, if you will, when you get started with Daniel, because you're getting not just his excellence in using this energetic tool that was originally created for the Navy SEALs. It was not originally created for the public, but it was a divine download in meditation that came to our scientists. Make no mistakes about that. They're divinely inspired. But you're also getting a master in energy. Daniel would never call himself a master in energy, but I do call him a master in energy. So you guys are going to get a master in energy who is so well versed in all these different modalities. He's been not just playing, he's been playing, dancing, weaving energy since he came out of the womb. I mean, I haven't known Daniel that long, but I had like this little timeline snapshot where I could see him when I first saw him. And I could see him as a 2-year-old playing with energy. His mother had no idea he was playing with energy, and he's playing with all sorts of energies in his midst. And he was having a blast. And he's
it's very accurate that I did do that. Yeah.
You were just, yeah, I'm getting like that vibration again. And so he chose not to deny himself and cave into the norm, because our societies like to make that so odd, so weird, that you get embarrassed where you're like, oh, I can't ever really share or be my true authentic self because heaven forbid, I'm an outcast. But he stayed true to himself, and he's expanded that to the point where he's gonna, my gosh, this is the least masterful he'll be is today. He's only going to magnify as he continues to use these different frequency tools. And trust me, I know that he's going to get another tsunami of gifts that are going to be imparted into him because he is using it for good, because he does have a beautiful, pure heart looking to help, restore people's bodies and to do the greatest good for the whole planet, for the whole universe. More responsibility and more gifts are given to those, because he's not just hoarding it for himself. And he knows well enough that there are some people that this is going to resonate with, that it's like inevitable. It's like two magnets. You can't keep them apart. And there are other people, they won't even find this video. This video will never show up on their YouTube because the dissonance is so great that it's just, there's no way that they can even come close to each other. So we are just looking for those of you who this resonates at a high level. You're intrigued with manifesting according to God's infinite creation, and you'll reach out to Daniel and say hi and hello. I got a little taste and I just want more than a drop. I'd like a half cup, full cup, 2 cups or more,
Oh, Lillian, you are a total gem. You say that about people all the time, but you are a total gem. And this entire time that you're saying all of this, I'm just thinking in my head, the whole kindergartner thing. Well, it takes one to know one. It's you're saying all this about me, but it's true about you too, and I really appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Thank you.
I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling, what I see, feel, sense, and I just know that about you. And the little pictures that I had, that I was like, oh my gosh, this is just so absolutely wonderful. I am so blessed. I keep on getting, blessed with incredible souls like yourself. And I'm glad that our paths finally met once again in this lifetime. We're going to know each other for eternity. So we're going to wrap it up. We're getting here to the top of the hour. We need to finish it up. It's 3:55, that double number of grace. Thank you very much. So do you want to leave parting words with our viewers?
Sure. Yeah. First off, don't take no for an answer. If someone is saying that you cannot be healthy, that you cannot change, prove to them that they're wrong. You deserve to take the time to take care of yourself. You deserve to be the best you that you can be, not for other people, not because you want to, not because you feel like that's how you need to be shown love, but because you really deserve it as an individual yourself. That was a message that I was hearing today, and that's an important one. Authenticity is key, and laughter is key. And with true authentic laughter, you can even undo death curses. So if you can find a good reason to laugh, a good reason to smile today, You're winning. You are winning.
You are winning. I love that. And I love the fact that you're calling attention to authenticity. I just heard a scientist just earlier this week say that they measured the vibrational frequency of love, which we know is 528 hertz. And when they measured authenticity, it was 4,000 times more powerful than the vibration of love.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, OMG.
Uh-huh.
That is just giving you a little sliver of a little sliver of a little sliver, letting you know how powerful it is for you to be in your authentic power, to be authentically, unapologetically you. And with that, my friends and gems,
Yes.
I leave you formally introduced now and forevermore, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the replay. Whenever you're watching this is the perfect time for you to reach out. Don't just watch this. Of course, like, share, subscribe, share this video with others, but reach out to Daniel. And I will put his information in the description below so that you can go ahead and contact him. And of course, those of you who are in Idaho, you are the luckiest of the lucky because you get to, hopefully you live geographically close to him. Those of you who are jet setters, you can fly in to have a session with Daniel and from wherever you might be in the world and then be graced by the magic and the wonder and the weird. Awesome.
And the weird.
Because I own weird. I should get a t-shirt that says I'm weirda.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a weirda.
I'm a weirda. And so are you. You just don't know it yet. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
Oh.
I love you, my friend and Gem.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lillian. I appreciate this so much, and I appreciate all your kind words. And I just hope that I always am of the integrity and authenticity to be deserving of it. Thank you so much, and keep rocking it. Let's rock on, everybody. Let's
Yes,
rock on.
All right. Ciao for now, my friends and gems. Bye.